You're meditating. You're doing the therapy. You've tried these supplements, the breath work, the body work, the fascia release, the nervous system regulation videos, clean eating, walking, mindset tools, journaling, stretching, strengthening. Maybe you've seen the chiropractor, the PT, the massage therapist, the functional medicine doctor, the therapist, the coach, the energy healer, the acupuncturist, and some of it helps genuinely. Maybe a lot of it helps for an hour, for a day, for a week, and then your system snaps right back. The pain returns, the irritability returns, the fatigue returns, the anxiety returns, the bracing. The same pattern comes back over and over again, and it is so freaking irritating. And at some point, you start wondering, like, what am I missing? Why does nothing actually hold? Or worse, you might start wondering, what is wrong with me? So I want to say something very clearly at the beginning of this channel. Your body might not actually be broken. It may be just protecting you deeply, fiercely. And if your system is still organized around protection, even really good tools and techniques can fail to land because the body and the brain don't integrate change that it doesn't feel safe enough to receive. This is one of the biggest missing pieces in healing. And honestly, it changes everything. I'm Dr. Satya Sardonicus. I'm the founder of NeuroFascial Flow Method, and this channel is dedicated to body-based missing link in healing, resilience, and human potential. Today, we're talking about why you can be doing what seems like all the right things and still feel stuck. And more importantly, what that might actually be telling you. Because I don't want you to walk away from this thinking, great, one more thing I've failed at. I want you to walk away thinking, oh, my system has actually been trying to protect me. Maybe I need a different relationship with it. And that is the shift. So I grew up in a family full of holistic healthcare providers. My dad is a chiropractor, my mom is a craniosacral and massage therapist. Both of my parents studied yoga and spiritual practice. I'm the oldest of six kids, and I was immersed from the very beginning in this knowing that the body is self-healing and self-regulating. And I don't mean that as like a nice little affirmation. I mean, I've watched it. I've literally seen people come into my dad's office suffering deeply and leave completely transformed. I've watched things happen that as a kid I thought were just normal. And then I grew up and realized, oh, a lot of people have never seen the body's capacity to heal as tremendously as I have had the honor to witness and experience myself. A lot of people have been taught that the body is basically a complicated machine that breaks down sometimes and needs to be micromanaged from the outside by a doctor. I was raised with a different question. When something is wrong, the first question is not, how do I fix this symptom? How do I make it stop? The first question is, why is the body not healing itself right now? And that question has literally saved my life more than once. I've come through major trauma, chronic illness, neurological symptoms, brain injury, Lyme, cancer, a lot of things I would not recommend collecting like merit badges. But every time, literally, the question that has guided me has been, why is my body not prioritizing healing right now? Because the intelligence is still there. The same intelligence that took you from a single fertilized egg into trillions of cells that all know how to do their job without anyone telling them what to do, least of all a doctor. That intelligence is still in you. You don't have to tell a cut to send the right cells to close the wound. You don't have to tell your stomach how to digest breakfast. You don't have to micromanage every enzyme, hormone, immune response, and repair process in your body because your body knows how to do an astonishing amount. So when healing is not happening as we may expect, I'm much less interested in blaming the body for being broken, and I'm much more interested in asking, what's getting in the way? And one of the biggest things that gets in the way is a state of chronic alarm. When your brain and nervous system perceive threat, your body reorganizes around survival. This is deeply intelligent. So if your brain thinks a tiger might attack you, it shouldn't prioritize deep sleep or digestion or fertility or tissue repair or creativity or emotional nuance. It should help you survive, right? Your heart rate changes, your blood pressure changes, your muscles brace, digestion shifts, your hormones shift, your pain sensitivity goes up, your attention narrows, your ability to recover changes, reduces. This is not your body going rogue. This is the body doing something very intelligent in the context of perceived threat. Now, the problem is that many people are living with a brain and body that are stuck in that protective state long after the original threat has passed. And the threat is not always emotional. It can be physical, it can be chemical, it can be structural, it can be sensory, it can be relational, it can be old injury, it can be chronic device posture, right? It can be inflammation. It can be poor sleep. It can be unresolved trauma. It can be the cumulative load of really trying to function in a world that constantly asks, demands you to override your own signals, celebrates it even. And one of the places this gets held is in the fascia. So let's talk about fascia for a minute. Fascia is the connective tissue web of the body. It's like webbing that wraps and interpenetrates your muscles, nerves, organs, joints, blood vessels, essentially everything. But fascia is not just packaging, right? It's sensory. It's communicative. It's part of how your body feels and perceives itself. It helps the brain know where you are in space, how much pressure you're under, how much stretch is happening, whether movement is smooth or clunky, whether something feels safe, whether something feels threatening. So when fascia is braced, sticky, rigid, guarded, or restricted, it can keep sending alarm signals to the brain 24 hours a day, which means you can sit on your meditation cushion and consciously tell yourself, I am safe, while your body is still telling your brain something is very wrong. This is one of the reasons that people say, I know I'm safe, but I don't feel safe. That can be a body signaling problem. And if the body is still signaling threat, then your system may not be available for the change that you're trying to create. This is where so much healing advice becomes incomplete because people will say, regulate your nervous system. Okay, great. How? Meditate, breathe, do some exercises, think differently, do mindset work, do vagus nerve exercises, take some supplements, do some stretches, get a massage, release the fascia. And some of those things can be genuinely helpful. In fact, I use a lot of them. I love a lot of them. I'm not here to throw out everything that helps, but if your rib cage is locked down like armor, how well is that deep breathing exercise actually going to work? Right? If your spine is not articulating fluidly, how much safety information is your brain getting from going and doing exercise? If your feet, pelvis, rib cage, jaw, neck, the fascial sleeve around your spinal cord, if those are under high tension, your brain may be receiving alarm signals all day long and all night long, even when nothing dramatic seems to be happening. So, if your system is already near capacity, even a good input can feel like too much. And that's why a massage can feel amazing and then an hour later, everything tightens back up. It's why a chiropractic adjustment can feel miraculous and then the same exact pattern returns. This is why a therapy session can create really profound insight, but your system still reacts the same way the next day. It's also why fascia release can look really dramatic on Instagram and still create more dysregulation in a real human body. Because the issue is not always whether the tool is good or not. The issue is like, whether the body actually has the safety, the capacity, and the sequence required to integrate that input. And this is the part that most people skip. We go straight to making change, releasing the tight thing, fix the symptom, correct the pattern, break up the fascia, push through the workout, force the breathing, override the resistance. But if the body's holding tension for protection, then forcing it to let go may actually feel threatening to the system. And when the body feels threatened, it protects harder. That's the boomerang effect, right? You loosen something and it snaps back. You push a little too far and the system flares. You open something too quickly and the body collapses. You finally get somewhere and then your nervous system says, absolutely not. We are going back to the known locked down pattern because honestly, that feels safer than the unknown openness. And then people think that they failed. They think the method failed. They think their body is stubborn. But often, the sequence was wrong. The system needed safety, not just psychological, but literal somatic safety in the cells before release. It needed proprioceptive feedback. We'll talk about that. Before intensity. It needed presence before processing. It needed capacity before change. Proprioception is one of the most important pieces here. It's a big word, but the concept is simple. Proprioception is your body's ability to feel itself in space. If you close your eyes and still know where your hands are, that's proprioception. If you smash your finger in a door, what do you instinctively want to do? Right? You shake it, you squeeze it, maybe you curse first, which is valid, but then you shake it or squeeze it, right? Why? Because movement and deep pressure send signals to the brain that help turn down alarm. That is built into your biology. It's why a good hug can feel really regulating. It's why weighted blankets help some people. It's why kids with sensory needs often crave jumping, crashing, squeezing, climbing, roughhousing, or deep pressure. It's why movement can change your mood. The brain uses body signals to come out of alarm. But what happens when the body has stuck places that are not moving fluidly? What happens when the fascia is braced? What happens when the rib cage is glued down to itself? What happens when the spine moves like one stiff block instead of a wave? What happens when the pelvis, feet, neck, jaw, and cranial tissues are all quietly pulling on each other? The brain is not getting the full safety information it expects from the body. It's like trying to drive with one hand behind your back and half the dashboard lights are broken. Any new stressor is harder to recover from. And, adding insult to injury, those stuck places will also keep sending alarm signals 24 hours a day. So you end up in this loop where the brain perceives threat, the body braces, the fascia splints, the rib cage locks down, movement becomes less fluid, so then the brain is receiving less safety signaling and more alarm signaling. So the brain perceives more threat and the body braces more. That loop can really become your new normal, and it's very common. You may not even realize that you're bracing. You might just feel exhausted, foggy, anxious, irritable, inflamed, sensitive, disconnected, in pain, or numbed out. Or like you're doing everything you can possibly do and still can't quite access the version of yourself you know is in there. That's the loop NeuroFascial Flow was created to interrupt. And I want to be really clear here. This does not mean every symptom is just stress. I actually hate it when people say it that way because what usually happens is someone has real physiological symptoms and they're told it's just stress, which often means we don't know what to do with you. But stress is not just emotional. There is physiological stress, mechanical stress, neurological stress, metabolic stress, sensory stress, relational stress, environmental stress. And all of that lives in a body. So when I talk about chronic alarm, I am not dismissing your symptoms at all. I'm saying that the body might be in a state where it is prioritizing protection over healing. And that affects literally everything: digestion, hormones, pain, sleep, energy, immune function, mood, focus, sensory processing, how you relate to people, how much change you can handle, how much joy you can actually receive. And this is why the question has to change. Instead of only asking, what's the root cause of the symptom? I want us to ask, why is the body not healing itself? Why is the brain still perceiving threat? What is the body protecting? What signals is the brain receiving from the body? What is the system actually available to integrate next? That last question is huge. What is the system actually available to integrate next? Because healing is not about forcing the body to let go. It's about creating the conditions where the body no longer needs to hold on in the same way. And that's a very different relationship. It's much less like dragging a toddler kicking and screaming, and more like partner dancing. You listen, you respond, you invite, you track. You notice when the system says yes. You notice when it says not yet. And over time, the body and the nervous system begins to learn I can feel more things and still feel safe at the same time. I can soften and still be protected. I can move and still be okay. I can receive input without bracing. I can change without losing myself. And that's really where deeper reorganization begins. Inside the NeuroFascial Flow Method, we work with a 5-step process. I'm not going to teach the whole framework in this first video, but I want you to understand the basic arc. First, we establish safety. And that does not mean we fix every trauma pattern in 5 minutes. It means really that we create enough of a window of access that the body can receive something new. Then we invite softening, meaning we don't force the system open into change. We invite the system to release what is ready to release. Then we activate change. That might be fascia release, movement, breath work, provider care, mindset work, therapy, whatever tool is appropriate. But the key is that we only do as much change as the system has the capacity to integrate. Then we reestablish safety because all change is hard, even in the right direction, right? Your brain needs to know I am safe with this new pattern. And then we integrate and adapt. Because if your system has a new range, a new breath capacity, a new sense of self, but you immediately go back into your old automatic pattern, the brain may not update its map. So you need to practice inhabiting the new space. And that's really why this work is not just about releasing tight fascia. It's about helping the brain and body build a new relationship with change. So if you've been doing all the right things and still feel stuck, here's what I would love for you to consider. Maybe you don't need to try harder. Maybe you don't need to add 10 more things to your already exhausting healing routine. Maybe what your system needs is a clearer sequence of input. Maybe your brain needs more safety information from your body. Maybe your fascia is not being stubborn. Maybe it's been protecting you. Maybe your nervous system is not, in fact, sabotaging you or doing something wrong. Maybe it's been trying really hard to keep you alive with the tools that it has had. And maybe your next step is not to try to fix yourself or force healing. Maybe the next step is to learn how to work with the intelligence that has been there inside all along. Because underneath the bracing, underneath the fatigue, underneath the pain, underneath the anxiety, the protective patterns, there is still a self-healing, self-regulating intelligence in you. And when we create the right conditions, the body often starts doing what it's been trying to do literally the whole time. I hear people say this all the time. I feel like myself again. Because yourself wasn't gone. It's just buried under protection. The work is not to become someone else. The work is to return to enough fluidity, coherence, and safety that more of who you actually are can come through. That's human coherence. And that's what this channel is here to explore. We will talk about fascia, nervous system regulation, chronic alarm, trauma, healing, resilience, leadership, creativity, consciousness, and the future of human adaptability in a deeply overwhelmed world. But the starting point is this. If you're stuck, even after doing all the right things, you are not failing. Your body may be protecting you. And once we understand what it is protecting and how to work with that intelligence instead of trying to make something happen, a very different kind of healing becomes possible. If this resonates, subscribe so YouTube knows to show you future videos and so this work can reach more people who are ready to stop trying to fix themselves with micromanaging and start working with the body's intelligence. And if you want a first step, I linked a free fascia and nervous system guide below. I'm Dr. Satya, and this is Human Coherence. I will see you in the next video.